Jack Christofferson. My family history is very long and complicated, I guess you could say. I was born in Whitehorse in 1969, December 30th, and I was born with the name James Blair Fogarasi, which is of Romanian-Hungarian descent, and I was actually given up for adoption. And then I was adopted by the Christofferson family and given the name Jack Christofferson. My mother's name was Lillian Rosemary Christofferson. And then I also have my biological mother, who is Judy Campbell. Used to be, her maiden name was Judy Fogarasi. When my mother adopted me, she was quite a bit older. She was 48. And usually they don't allow older people to adopt babies because they want them to be, closer in age, right? But I guess my dad knew some people. He was a pretty influential guy up in Whitehorse, and I guess he got my mother a baby. My mom wanted a baby, he got her a baby, and she picked me. And so when my mother was in the adoption office signing the papers to adopt me, she was left alone for a little while in the office by herself with my file, with my complete file, with who I was before she adopted me. So she wasn't allowed to, but she went through the file anyway and saw what my real name was, or my biological name when I was born, which was James Blair Fogarasi. And the real funny story behind this is that my biological grandmother was best friends with my mother that adopted me. And my biological mother remembers going over to play at Lillian Christofferson's house when she was a little girl. And so when my mom saw that she had adopted Judy's son, she just said, "Oh my gosh," and she shut the file, and she had to keep it a secret all her life because my grandfather, Elmer Fogarasi, and my father that adopted me, Jack Christofferson, hated each other. So my mother could never tell my father that I was the biological grandfather of Elmer Fogarasi, because that would have been bad, obviously. So my mother kept that secret all her life, and then when I was 18 years old, I asked her if she knew anything else, because I always knew I was adopted, but I asked her if she knew anything else about my past, and she told me who I really was. When I was 2 years old, we moved to Kelowna from Whitehorse, and I was raised in Kelowna. And so I spent my summers there on the lake. We had a place on the lake and near the lake, and I spent my summers water skiing and mountain climbing and riding my bicycle around and being like, Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn kind of thing. So it was a lot of fun. And I stayed there until 1987, and then I moved out on my own with a friend of mine. And we came to Vancouver in 1987 when I was 17 years old. And we came here in an old beat-up old car with $5 each in our pocket and with dreams of living in the big city. And I started acting workshops a year later in 1988. And that's when my journey into the film industry began.
Mrs. Winkler, we need you to tell us what happened. We want to hear your side.
I don't know. Sometimes I think something might have happened. And then I just don't know.
What do you think might have happened?
Mrs. Winkler, where were you headed the other day when you left your house with your girls?
My mom that raised me, Lillian Christofferson, she loved Elvis. She used to make me watch Elvis movies when I was a kid. And I never understood why they weren't calling him Elvis. He always had different names in the movies. And then I finally said, "Mom, why aren't they calling him Elvis?" And she said, "Well, he's acting." And then I said, "What's that?" Because I thought TV was real still at that point when I was a little kid. And she explained to me that, acting is what acting is. And so Elvis, in a strange sort of way, was my inspiration to become an actor. Not that I was a huge Elvis fan growing up, but so that was pretty funny. That my mom's love of Elvis inspired me to become an actor.
Sir, put the gun down! Look, Frank, I don't know what the hell is going on here, but I think you should drop that gun, okay?
I said put down the gun, buddy!
Look, this isn't real, all right? It's a reenactment. A bunch of World War II buffs getting together, having a good time.
Frank, is it? Why don't we put the gun down?
Listen, I don't know if this is some kind of strange costume party or something, but someone's gonna get hurt. Now, I'm gonna give you to the count of 3 to put that gun down, sir.
I can't say that I wish I was raised by Judy, and I can't say that I wish that I wasn't raised by Lillian, because my experiences have made me who I am today, and I'm a stronger man because of it. Judy's a great lady, and I love her very much. And I say Judy, I call her mom now, because Lillian Christofferson passed away about 12 years ago. My mother passed away. She'd phoned me and said, I'm not feeling well. Can you please come over? So I went over to her apartment, and I walked in. She was sitting on the sofa, and she was looked very sick. And I was about to call the ambulance, and she said, "Can you please bring me a bucket? Because I think I might throw up." So I brought her a bucket. And when I handed her the bucket, she actually died right in front of me. So I called the ambulance, and the ambulance came, and they took her in, and they got her heart pumping again. But she had an aneurysm. But she made me promise to never let her live like that, like a vegetable. She did not want to live plugged into machines. So I had to make the call, and it was the hardest thing I've ever had to do, and say goodbye to my mother.